Welcome back, everybody, to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. It's Sunday, May 25th, a glorious, glorious day in the history of Chelsea Football Club. You can see I got my kit on here. Just beat Forest, qualified for Champions League, meaning Jim was right all along. Jim, the floor is yours. Celebrate. You deserve it.
Up the Chelsea, baby. It feels so incredible. I said coming in, that was the biggest match in the history of my short career here, 3-year career as a Chelsea fan. Man, to know that I predicted them to finish fourth, they end up finishing fourth all along. What a thrilling last match day in the Premier League. And what a match, really. I mean, it ends 1-0 for Chelsea with a Levi Colwill goal, but man, the nerves coursing through my veins were insane. I just could not be happier. I could not be happier. I can't even talk. Happier is what I'm trying to say. It sounds like some other words coming out of my mouth, but go watch my reaction on TikTok too. Give us a follow over there. We just hit 1K because you're going to want to see the pure joy that the both of us had immediately following a Chelsea victory and a return to where they belong in the Champions League.
Yeah, a couple of huge key things to mention there. Number one, video episode. This is a video episode, so check it out. You'll see me rocking this beautiful old school vintage Chelsea kit that you got me a while back, in celebration of the day. And yes, the other thing to mention too, we watched together, which of course gave Chelsea luck. The other thing that gave Chelsea luck was I finally glued together the Chelsea gnome, which had its legs broken off in a horrific accident, but the gnome was glued together at halftime, and then a mere, I don't know, maybe a couple minutes after the gluing of the gnome, Chelsea score, and that's ultimately the decisive goal. So Chelsea fans, you might as well thank me for that one. But no, it was good because yeah, Chelsea, while they had a period of playing like shit this year, they deserve Champions League. I think the EPL was definitely a little bit down, but Chelsea finished fourth, and they deserved to finish fourth, I think. And they showed me something that I wasn't sure this team had, this young, inexperienced team, because, you got to beat a solid team like Forest, a team who knows how to defend, a team who knows how to, yeah, just kind of play through the middle and force you out wide, and they did it. So it wasn't always the prettiest this season, but Chelsea did it, and they are where they deserve to be, like you said.
And a shout out as well to my mother, who don't think has watched the Chelsea match in her life, but texts me at halftime, turns it on at halftime. Could also say she was a difference maker in delivering this Chelsea win. So, all around, the vibes could not have been higher coming into this match. I was feeling confident. You were as well. We both predicted a win. Man, just feels so sweet. So, so, so sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's even worth talking too much about this match in particular because this match was about so much more than the game that was played for these 90 minutes. My main takeaways from this match, game-wise, were just that Forest had no urgency for some reason. They didn't really press even when it got down to the wire and they were losing, but they were very good at forcing Chelsea wide and kind of just locking down that middle of the pitch, locking down the box. So it felt like they were playing for a draw to me, which wouldn't have gotten them Champions League. So I don't know if they just don't really have that gear in them to go, 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 go. I don't think that's the kind of team that Forest is, but Chelsea, I would say weathered the storm early on. They weathered some early good looks from Forest, and then kind of settled into their own. And after halftime, really took it to Forest and got that win.
Yeah, you said it correctly. I think Forest aren't used to playing that type of style. They usually like to not have possession and then crush you on the counterattack. That's what they've been known for all year. And to be fair to them, they had a super good year and were up in the top three quite a bit of the year. They just kind of ran out of gas, I think. And so ended up being good for Chelsea. I thought Chelsea went with a plan that made sense to me. You start Tosin, as I suggested, giving you more height against Chris Wood. You start James, he's your captain, he's going to be strong. And you score first. You had to score first. They did that. You end up bringing on Lavia, and then really get defensive, which I thought kind of made sense, even though it was maybe a bit early. But overall, the strategy worked. So credit to Maresca and the boys for that. And credit really for just staying strong that entire match and being solid defensively. Chelsea will end the season, I think, as a more underrated team in terms of how they did defensively this season. And just so happy for Tosin and Colwill. Colwill getting a huge goal as well. But really, to me, defense was the key kind of in this Chelsea second half of the year.
Yeah, so Chelsea went with the lineup that you and I both wanted. If you watched our preview episode that dropped earlier this week, we talked about what we wanted for the lineup, and this was at least exactly the lineup that I had asked for, and I think you pretty much agreed with me in that episode. I'm shocked at what Chelsea's defense was able to do really the last couple matches to close out this season. Chelsea's offense, their attack in this one wasn't good, I don't think. But really the whole back line was so solid. We're talking Cucurella, Colwell, Tosin, James. I thought Caicedo as like the defensive midfielder was really good as well. And Robert Sanchez, no mistakes from him either. So funnily enough, like beginning of the year when Chelsea was winning all those matches, it was kind of because of this electric attack that they had. And now, when it came down to it, when push came to shove at the end of the season, their defense is what kept them in it. And I, for one, did not see that coming.
And push did certainly come to shove in this one. Great saying. But yeah, it's crazy because that is really how it happened. They've been so strong defensively. You know, this team really, you could argue, has grown a lot because they start the year, as you said, so strong on the attack, free flying, but they hit some hiccups, some road bumps. And when you're a team that's that young, let's not forget, Chelsea are the youngest team in the history of the Premier League, which means they're the youngest team in the history of the Premier League to make Champions League. And that is just so massive for this team. What that can do for you is incredible to overcome adversity like that. You know, you're up at the top, you falter, but you get back to where you belong. This could be just a massive rocket ship and can only get higher on Wednesday. Because guess what? We could be lifting a trophy very soon. Not to mention playing with no pressure because you confirmed Champions League already.
Yeah, Wednesday is so far away from my mind right now after that, but when you put it that way, I mean, man, it definitely looks good for Chelsea. I mean, this could be just an absolutely incredible end of the season that if you would have said, hey, Chelsea's going to finish fourth in the Premier League, make Champions League, and be fighting for the Conference League title in that final. If you would have said that a month ago, I think you would have just jumped out of your seat, maybe punched me in the face. I don't know. Like there would have been some fireworks happening for sure if that was on the table a month or so ago.
Well, month or so ago or not, somebody did predict it, what, 8 months ago, 9 months ago, whenever August, July is. We're going to have to roll the tape back on that one to see precisely what I predicted. But to my recollection, I did predict finishing in the number four position,
You
which
100%
would have
did.
been Champions League. But they end up getting the fifth extra spot in the Prem. Chelsea don't need it. But I also definitely predicted Conference League title. I know we both did. So we'll see Wednesday. But man, could be an all-time prediction by me. And let's be honest, nobody was predicting Chelsea to finish top four. I think in those lists where they have all the analysts, out of 20, four of them said Chelsea top four. So really, and as Levi Colwill said post match, the one quote I did see, a lot of people have been talking a lot of shit about Chelsea this year. Where are those MFers now?
Yeah, I mean, if you're Chelsea, you gotta like talk your shit now, rub it in everybody's face. Certainly, I predicted Chelsea to finish sixth. I can remember that. And you predicted them to finish fourth. So you were bang on with that one. Now, if we go down the Premier League standings here, because this was the final match day. Everybody played at the same time. It's over now. It's done and dusted. Liverpool obviously locking up the league a while ago. Arsenal finishing second, which is just the most classic Arsenal thing in the world. They always finish second. Man City making a huge comeback after their absolute shit middle of the season, finishing third. Chelsea finishing fourth. Up and away fourth with 69 points. Newcastle coming in at fifth. Potential suitors for Leroy Sané. Maybe we'll talk about that later with 66 points. Villa finishing with 66 points as well, but a worse goal differential than Newcastle. So finishing in sixth, getting Europa League, which is disappointing for me for Villa. I thought they were going to do a little bit better. Forest with this loss here, finishing seventh, getting Conference League. Brighton eighth. I'm not going to go down all the standings, but Crystal Palace obviously getting Europa League, winning the cup in 12th place, and all the way down in lowly seventh place is Tottenham Hotspur, winning the Europa League, so also qualifying for Champions League. Wow, what a day! If you want the relegated teams, Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester, you know.
Yeah, I mean, this last Premier League day could not have been more intense. And part of me wishes, it would have been kind of nice to be at the pub, catching out a couple different games. Mental health wise, I don't know if I would have survived that. So we watched together and it was brilliant nonetheless in that fashion. But if you were a neutral watching these matches, it would have been crazy to see all this stuff going on. Villa getting the early red card and then Everton eventually take the lead, Chelsea take the lead, just insane. And I'm not sure if you've seen this. I bet you haven't because they showed it on TV when you left, but Villa got screwed, absolutely screwed by the ref. 0-0, 70th minute. Villa are at 10 men. Ball kind of rolls to the keeper on the edge of the box, Man United's keeper, doesn't secure it fully, bobbles it, and clearly is kind of bobbling it loosely. And Morgan Rogers kicks the ball out from him, turns and scores. But the ref instantly blows it dead because you can't kick it when the goalie has it, but he has to have it securely, and he didn't have it securely. So because he instantly blew it dead, you can't go to VAR to say that the goal counts. So he should have
Wow.
let it go in, and then VAR could take it off if they see fit. Villa would have been up 1-0, and I'm not saying that would have held or anything, but let's be honest, it probably would have. So just massive.
Well, that reminds me of oh man, that reminds me of De Ligt's stoppage time goal against Madrid where the ref blew it dead too early when it actually wasn't offside. So, but they couldn't look at it because it was blown. And yeah, those situations suck. If it's at all close, you have to let them play and then you have to check it out later. That sucks for Villa because that's going to be their Champions League berth right there since Newcastle lost. So, yeah, wow, getting screwed there. Europa League now for the villains.
Yeah, so just crazy overall on the day. But, I do want to talk briefly here about Levi Colwill and just how proud
Man
I
of the
am of
match.
him. Yeah, I mean, man of the match for what he and Tosin did at the back line, staying strong all match defensively, and obviously bags the goal. And I don't think Neto did much on the day really at all. Was quite poor, in fact. But for him to get a nice little assist out of a frantic corner type situation to Colwell, who's there to put it in, you could not have a better Chelsea player get a goal, especially for this project, where sometimes the academy gets some shit. There's those who believe the academy aren't getting enough chances with buying a lot of these foreign young players that Chelsea have done under Clear Lake, but it shows you that if you have the talent and you come out of the academy, you will be a star for Chelsea and potentially one of the leaders. And I think Colwell, his stock is only going to go way up with this team because he's shown that he has what it takes to potentially be a leader and to really deliver Chelsea to the highest of highs.
Yeah, I Colwell has had a little bit of an up and down season for me. He's been mostly solid. I think the key in my eyes, I don't know if you agree with this or not. to me, the key is if you want to really get to the highest of highs, like you said, you get someone consistent to pair with Colwell as another center back. I'm saying I think you got to get a more solid, consistent partner, and then I think it's going to be dynamite back there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely see if that's the move they make.
Kim,
I think Cole will. I think Cole will definitely is a stepping stone, not stepping stone, because he foundational piece going forward. I think he's shown enough. I think he's also pretty young still. I mean, he's gonna have these ups and downs because he's so young still. I feel like it's kind of rare for center backs to be perfect when they're young. Think
well,
about the best center backs in the league. They're usually pretty old.
yeah, and like I said, he hasn't had the same partner all year. I feel like they've been
Right.
interchanging all throughout. And let's be honest, Sanchez is not the best communicator on the back line. It doesn't seem to me. So certainly, I mean, you got Mark as a steady force back there. You got James, who is the definition of a steady force back there. But you don't have another center back to pair with Colwell and you consistently this year. I mean, maybe it'll be Tosin who steps up or something. Um, or you'll get some injured guys back. But yeah, and obviously Sanchez back there. I mean, if I were to go match awards for this match, Colwell man of the match, and then I'd give the other three to the rest of the back line. That's just me. That's how I saw it. And maybe I'll special shout out to Sanchez or Caicedo or something like that too.
Agreed. I mean, clean sheet, you always give love to the goalkeeper and the rest of the defense. I think Cucurella was phenomenal. Caicedo was solid and, not a bad performance from him. Didn't bring out his A game probably, but still strong.
B game maybe.
Tosin, yeah, Tosin, I think a ton of clearances. That was awesome to see, especially because we predicted that he would need to be big. And then Reese boy, really strong in the first 15, I thought, which was going to be the biggest 15 of the match, and ended up being true. Um, and overall strong. So the attack was maybe not the best, but you eke out a goal, and that's all that matters. Is then you are just strong after that. So just so happy, so happy for this Chelsea team. I just it's such a great place to be right now.
Yeah, I think arguably we talked about plan, right? We were trying to figure out Enzo Maresca's plan in the first half because Chelsea, I don't think, was playing up to what they wanted to be doing. They almost had no attack in the first half, and they just tried to go off the counter, it seemed like, and they're not a counter-attacking team in my mind. Um, but in the second half, I think until the end where it's like, okay, Chelsea is just bringing in all these defenders. Forest is trying to be a little bit more desperate. Things are a little bit chaotic because, like, you know, Forest needs to score 2 goals fast. Up until that point, most of the second half, I think, went pretty much exactly like Enzo Maresca would want it to, for better or for worse. In this situation, certainly for better. Chelsea gets a goal. They're able to control more of the possession. They're able to kind of like lock down their defense, bring in more defenders. To me, that's how I think Enzo wants to play. And it took a little while to get there, but he got there and it worked well. And for as much trash as I've talked about Enzo this year, maybe this is an okay plan for the Premier League,
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a good plan on a week to week basis in the Premier League,
which is
but
what I've said.
in terms of this match, it certainly was the plan that you had to go with. You had to try to score first. And I don't think he was trying to be a counterattacking team, as I told you as we were watching. I think it's just the way the match happened when Forest were at home and on their front foot at times. So Maresca probably wanted more possession, didn't get it, but yeah, once you got that goal, you were always going to probably at some point get defensive. And again, did he do it earlier than maybe I would have? Maybe so, but it really worked because Forest were not doing anything and ended up getting one good chance in that second half that Wood should have buried. But even if he does, you're going to get a draw and still make UCL. So just overall, so pleased with how that played out ultimately. And yeah, I again, it's tough to look ahead, but we do have such a quick turnaround here to the Conference League final on Wednesday. So I think we might as well just briefly preview that and
Let's
just
do it.
say what we think's going to happen there.
Yeah, what do you think about the lineup? That was kind of where I was thinking. Um, I mean, you could roll with the same lineup. I think. Oh, or Jackson will be back, right, for Conference League.
That's something I kind of forgot. Yeah, Jackson
Yeah,
will be back, so
I
he's definitely going to start.
I just thought about that right now. Yeah, okay, so you put Jackson in there. Then I guess it's just really I would probably run with the same lineup except with Jackson up top, and I guess you could play Lavia or the left wing. I would play Noni at right wing, I think, and then I would left wing either Neto or Sancho. I honestly don't know enough about Real Betis to make that call, but I would just whoever profiles better against them for me.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that Lavia starts ahead of Reece James. Oh no, Lavia's not in the squad. That's right. I keep
No, yeah, you
forgetting
got to
that
start James.
because I thought that Lavia would start against Forest. Remember, I was saying that in our preview pod.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, so no Lavia. That's right. So I I wouldn't be surprised if Gusto starts ahead of James.
Come on.
Just because I think they're still being careful with Reece James.
For
And
what? Club World Cup? It's a month away.
no, just in general, I don't think he's ever going to be a 90-minute, two-match a week guy,
Even
even
next year
with
in the
Champions
Champions
League
League?
now.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he will be. I think you'll see him. They'll pick and choose depending on who they play. And I don't want to get ahead of myself the next season, but I would not make him a two-match a week, 90-minute guy. I think it's way too risky and he's too important of a player. But
He's so
yeah,
young.
so he is, but the injury history that the guy has is just unreal. So yeah, don't be surprised if Gusto does start. Um, and I think you'll probably see Chalaba as well. He's deserving of a start at this point. And even Badiashile, I would not be surprised to start. So, we'll see. He's starting Jorgensen for sure between the sticks. Um, yeah, he really could go with a lot of different directions. Tyreek George could be deserving of a start as well. The Conference League, you never know. Now that they secured Champions League,
It's
he
a
could just
final.
say,
You want to
I
get
know
you
it's a
want to
final,
get the
but
trophy though.
agreed. And I want it so bad. But the guys that have played the majority of the Conference League are deserving of some minutes here. So that's kind of my opinion. That's why Jorgensen's starting because he's played the entire Conference League and he deserves the start here. And they're not that much different anyway. It's keepers, but I think that's why potentially you'd see some of these guys.
Maybe. I'm just it's gonna be a little bit of a rude awakening for next year because you're not gonna have the luxury of what they had this year, which was basically playing a second squad for a lot of these Conference League matches with some first team guys mixed in. You're gonna have to start thinking about playing two matches a week.
1,000%, but it's not next year right now. And it's the Conference League. It's Real Betis. They're sixth in La Liga. I'm not saying that they're a slouch team by any means. I think they've been really strong, but I just think it's not quite that Champions League ball game yet. And let's say you throw out a lineup that I've discussed right now, you still have these guys on the bench that can do well in the second half or, at some point in the match. It's not like you're throwing out scrubs and academy players and then you're going to lose 2-0. These are still very capable players.
All right, all right. Is Palmer gonna show up? He didn't really show up today, and that was our biggest key for this one, and they still got the win.
Yeah, I thought Palmer showed flashes. I think he was just played out of position by Maresca, and Forrest seemed pretty locked in on stopping him.
Let's talk about that for a
Um,
second because Palmer was positionally, I don't know what the hell Maresca was thinking. That was my biggest gripe with this match was Palmer essentially in the position of a left back while Cucurella goes up and inverts into the attack. You got to play Palmer essentially. I get that Forrest is pushing you out wide, but you have Sancho, you have Noni, um, you have, I guess, Reese and Cucurella, although Cucurella inverts, like I said. You have those guys who can play out wide. Palmer needs to be in the middle creating.
yeah, I don't know. He seems to like Palmer in that left side, whether it's for creation or otherwise, I'm not sure. We definitely need to get that figured out ahead of next season. Um, yeah, we'll see. I think Palmer's probably going to play on Wednesday, and hopefully he comes up big.
All right. Any other keys to that match you got? Anything else to preview?
Not much. I'm looking forward to it. I'm probably going to try to work from home and really get my full attention on it. So hopefully Chelsea can do right by me and get another huge win.
Awesome. Anything else you want to say about Chelsea in this episode right now?
Just happy, just pure happiness. Year three, it's the biggest year as a fan for me. We've gone from 12th to 6th to 4th. I know Chelsea has a lot of success in their history, but the grind of those 3 years, you can't say that I'm just some bandwagon fan because it really has been tumultuous and Chelsea have been through a lot of ups and downs. And to get Champions League now feels so good. I've seen Chelsea in the Champions League technically, that first year they were in the Champions League. I think they made it to the quarterfinal, actually, before losing to Real Madrid. But it's going to be so much fun. Bayern and Chelsea in the Champions League. Club World Cup is going to be fun. It's just a great time to be a Chelsea fan. And, I could not be prouder of this team. I'm going to keep harping on this, but youngest team in the Premier League to do what they're doing, and they're only really going to get younger. It's just incredible. The ceiling on this team is sky high. I know you can argue now Liverpool with getting Verts, but I do think Chelsea are the team with the best chance to compete with Liverpool. Maybe not right away next year, but definitely over the next 5 to 10. So, yeah, very happy. Very, very happy.
Yeah, well, I'm proud of Chelsea. I'm proud of you as a fan. You certainly deserve it for grinding through some rough times. Chelsea does deserve it. I agree with what you say. I think that City will be competing very strongly next year again. Arsenal, I have a tough time taking them seriously. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Maybe it's naive of me. I just do. Um, Liverpool is gonna be damn good. Yeah, well, I'll talk about Verts here in a quick second, but Liverpool, I think, is going to be really tough to catch. But I think Chelsea has a shot. If Pep is serious about kneecapping Man City by shrinking the squad, when you have to play 3 matches a week for 11 months out of the year. I get it, a little bit of an exaggeration, but if he's serious about quitting, if City doesn't shrink their squad, they will have no chance at winning the Premier League. That's just how I see it. Um, but yeah, I want to mention a couple things regarding Bayern Munich before we get out of here. Number one, the biggest news of the week for me after courting Florian Wirtz since he was 16 years old, after Florian Wirtz's dream of playing for Bayern Munich since he was a kid. Um, it all came crashing down this week in a matter of hours, basically. Florian Wirtz now is going to be headed to Liverpool. He decided to forego the step in his career of moving to Munich and just decided to move straight abroad to Liverpool. Um, really, uh, an embarrassment for Bayern Munich, if you ask me. An embarrassment for their board, who has been literally trying to get Wirtz since he was a kid, um, and now it's not going to happen. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not sad, like I'm not pissed about it. Wirtz is a generational talent who can completely change your team, and adding him to this attack that Bayern Munich has right now would have given Bayern Munich the best attack in Europe. Not the second best, not competing with Real Madrid, would have given them the best attack. Now, I'm not saying it would have given them the best team as a whole in Europe, but Wirtz, Musiala, Olise, and Kane, that's the best attack in Europe. Um, but it's not going to happen now. So Bayern has to turn their attention elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment that they would have been the best attack. Definitely. And it's pretty embarrassing when you have courted him for that long. So I'm not gonna disagree with you there. and it's going to be massive for Liverpool. I'm still waiting for the official signing. Of course, you never know, things can happen, but it's going to be a ripple that gets felt all across Europe, no doubt about that. I'm still very high on Bayern next year, and we'll get to next year, obviously as the weeks go on and months go on. But yeah, it's a massive, massive earthquake in Europe, and there's some people that are better off than others.
Yeah, in the immediate, Bayern's going to be okay. They're going to be the best team in Germany. I'm not saying Bundesliga guaranteed every year, but I'm just saying talent wise, they're the best team in Germany. No one's going to be close. If they can stay healthy, they'll have a great chance in the UCL for sure. We're going to have to make a signing here. We're going to have to maybe go harder at keeping Leroy Sané or just sign another left wing or two. Um, our defense could use maybe a little shoring up. We might try to sell Kim, in which case we would need another center back, in addition to Jonathan Tah. Yes, Leverkusen center back, who will be officially joining Bayern Munich this coming season, maybe for the Club World Cup, even if they get that um, sorted out. I'll come back to Ta in a second. Last thing I wanted to say on Verts is, um, like I said, Bayern's going to be fine in the immediate future. I'm not so much as concerned about that as I am about what this means for the global landscape of football because it is shifting. The Premier League, La Liga, if you go to Madrid or Barcelona, is going to offer you a bigger platform than the Bundesliga. It always has and it always will. The Bundesliga is set up in a way where 50 plus one rule, teams are fan owned. The TV rights, we saw it last year. German fans were protesting. The DFB wanted to have a deal for TV rights that would have given them more of like a global spotlight, but obviously German fans are very, very strong about keeping things tight knit and keeping things authentic. And that's part of the reason why I love the Bundesliga so much. But it also means on the other side of the coin, you're just not going to have as big of a platform. You're just not. So, like I said, the global landscape in football is shifting, and Bayern Munich was always known as the premier destination for top German talent. Might not be the case anymore. And Bayern's going to have to figure out how to counteract that. I think the way is to invest more heavily in your academy, and just homegrown talent like Muller was, like Pavlovic, like Stanisic, guys like that, you're going to have to rely more heavily on. And that's okay. I mean, you can still be um, the best team in Germany, and they will be for the foreseeable future, like we said. But it just does mean that the old ways of Uli Hoeneß, who built up Bayern Munich, he struck out big time in this one. He fumbled a bag big time, and it means his old ways of having Wirtz and his family over for whatever, I don't know, whatever they had, grill outs, grill parties in in Uli Hoeneß's lake house. That's not how it's going to be done anymore, and you're going to have to come up with a new plan to attract top German talent when you have such a big um, platform in other leagues.
Yeah, I don't want to get too into the weeds on this. I think Bayern are going to be completely fine in the long term. While I do think, and I said this, I think it's embarrassing that they didn't get him for a lot of the reasons you're stating. I think ultimately they're still always going to be the biggest club in Germany and get the best German talent. I think Wirtz could be just one of those really generational guys that maybe just wants something new and wants to get out of Germany. I think it was potentially massive that Bayern lost the league last year. I said that to you, but I think with him already winning the league, to me, that means that maybe you don't need to go to Bayern because you already won the league over Bayern. So really, why would you go to Bayern? I'm not saying that's the reason, but I think that is maybe the thing that people aren't talking about as much. That was the bigger L, was losing the league last year and the ripple effect that that created. But yeah, we'll see how it affects Bayern going forward. But I would say don't panic on any long term things that could happen from it. But definitely can be disappointed in the short term.
Yeah, I think the key to Bayern's long-term success is just going to be more heavily tied to sporting success than it would be if, for say, you had oil money or you had a really rich owner pumping money into your club. It's going to be more tied to sporting success, which is fine because that's always how Bayern's done it, and that's always how they're going to have to do it. Um, I agree with you. Vert's winning the league last year was huge. Uh, staying in Germany ahead of the World Cup, playing with your teammates from the German national team, competing for UCLs left and right. That would have been the reason I think to come to Bayern if you're Wirtz, but I guess it's water under the bridge at this point, and so I'll just mention one more time, Jonathan Tah coming to Bayern Munich. Good to shore up the center back position. We're going to need to rotate the center backs more next year, especially with Dyer leaving for Monaco. Said that before. While I'm not the biggest Ta fan in the world, I think he's solid, not great, but solid. And I think it's a good signing. It's smart business. And it's just going to be up to company now to actually rotate these center backs next year.
I know we only have a few minutes here, and not to completely change direction, but I'm just seeing the projected pots for Champions League, and I always forget how high Chelsea's coefficient still is, but they're projected to be in pot one, which is the top 10 teams.
Let's
So
go with
Real
Bayern, so they
Madrid,
might not
City,
play him.
yeah, Bayern, Liverpool, PSG, Inter, Chelsea, Dortmund, Barca. So I just kind of forget that, but yeah, it's kind of incredible. Credit to Chelsea for really their historic success.
Well, there you go. And we'll keep you posted with all this news. We'll keep you covered for the Conference League final. We'll keep you covered for all the breaking news revolving around Bayern Munich. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is a video episode, so check us out. I'm wearing a Chelsea kit right now, which is really rare, and you're going to want to see it. So I think that's all I got. Do you have any closing words to say?
Shout out to Kendry Paez chanting Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea on IG Live. Shout out to all the guys coming in next year for Chelsea. Andre Santos, you're now a Champions League footballer. Shout out to Strasbourg getting Conference League. Blueco is massive, massive, massive right now. For those that tried to screw Chelsea and crumble the team 3 years ago when they forced Roman to sell the team, we're going to be bigger and better than ever. So, F off to all the haters and up to Chelsea.
And we'll see you at the Club World Cup in Cincinnati. Me and you are going to be there, so we'll get you great, great content for that. And we'll see you personally, in Champions League football next year, along with Bayern Munich. And I couldn't be happier about that. Mia San Mia forever.
Up to Chelsea.